We have some absolutely horrifying breaking news today, and there is a lot I need to say. In an act of pure, cold-blooded violence, because that's exactly what it was, Donald Trump's ICE forces have shot and killed an innocent woman in Minneapolis, Minnesota, a community he has been terrorizing for months. A woman who was doing nothing wrong lost her life because Trump's agents think they are above the law, free from accountability, and entitled to act like vigilantes. But what needs to be said clearly, loudly, and together is this. These men are criminals, and they will be held accountable. What happened today is shocking, heartbreaking, gut-wrenching, and it has shaken me to my core. It's horrifying to watch, but accountability is absolutely necessary. I want to break down everything. Donald Trump's reaction, Kristi Noem's disgraceful response, the full details of what happened, and a deeply disturbing first-hand account. If this is difficult to hear, I understand. But these stories must be heard, and it all starts with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, who warned weeks ago that Trump's ICE surge was nothing but a dangerous political stunt. He was right, painfully right. If only more people had listened.
So, this is what happens when your own federal government wages war against you. This is what happens when they target communities for their own benefit. This is what happens when they scapegoat. And this is what happens when they no longer hide the idea of white supremacy when you hear the Vice President of the United States talk about now white people won't have to apologize for being white. That's never happened once in my whole damn life. And I think everybody in this room knows what they're doing. So we're here today to say enough of this. We're here today to stand that Minnesota will protect their neighbors.
ICE isn't law enforcement. ICE isn't keeping anyone safe. These are proud boys. These are oath keepers. These are the worst of the worst basement-dwelling radical weirdos looking to self-actualize through violence against women, of people of color, of anyone who gets in the way of their mission to liberate the West, because that's the propaganda Kristi Noem puts out. They don't even know what they're there for. They just want to inflict pain on other people. This isn't law enforcement. This isn't community safety. It is theater, because the most insecure people in America are Republicans and they work for Donald Trump. ICE believes that it is Donald Trump's own political army. That is not the case. And let me say clearly, abolishing ICE should be one of the first acts of the next Democratic president. It should be what a Democratic Congress is focused on. That is not a radical position. It's not even a moderate position. It is the position. It is the only position. It is the only thing that we should believe. And severe accountability for these disgusting animals is the only word. It is truly horrific what happened today. And again, I want to share what is a trigger warning, a weak stomach warning. This is an incredibly upsetting story, but it needs to be told. I am not going to play the video of what happened out of fear that it might be taken off of YouTube. Sometimes their policies don't allow this to be played. I'm going to read a first-hand account, though. Again, this is incredibly unsettling, but we have to hear it. A witness to Wednesday's shooting in South Minneapolis told MP News that she saw a federal agent shoot a woman several times. Emily Heller lives near 33rd in Portland and said she woke up to a commotion outside her home. She said she saw a car blocking traffic on Portland Avenue that appeared to be part of a protest against federal law enforcement operations. Heller said she heard ICE agents telling the driver, a woman, to get out of here. She was trying to turn around and the ICE agent was in front of her car and he pulled out a gun and put it right in like his midriff was on her bumper, and he reached across the hood of the car and shot her in the face like 3 or 4 times. Heller said it appeared the woman then accelerated and traveled about 100 feet before striking a utility pole in some other vehicle she could see slumped over inside her car. Journalist Aaron Rupar wrote on Twitter confirming this story. There is video of the shooting of a woman by ICE in Minneapolis circulating that shows an ICE agent repeatedly shooting her at point-blank range while she tries to drive off. There was no obvious threat to any ICE agent. This all comes as Donald Trump has been repeatedly harassing Tim Walz, making up stories and posting conspiracies about the death, the assassination of Melissa Hortman that Tim Walz rightfully called dangerous, depraved behavior. It was dangerous. It was depraved. This is how we have arrived at this horrifying moment. Donald Trump has turned Minnesota and Minneapolis in particular into enemy number one for some of the most extreme right-wing radicals. Take the Shirley incident. Nick Shirley banging down daycare doors at 7 p.m., demanding to see children. Just think about how wrong that is. Investigative journalism has been under constant assault. Somali Americans have faced ongoing racist attacks. Tim Walz has been harassed relentlessly, his family threatened, slurs shouted outside their home, and his children forced into security measures just because the President of the United States is tweeting about their mother, whose life was tragically taken, and now, tragically, another woman in Minnesota has lost her life at the hands of a radicalized right-wing extremist. And for what? Even if Republicans want to label her a protester, she was not a rioter. She wasn't even obstructing anything. She was simply trying to escape from men harassing her, men not in uniform, giving no legal reason to compel her to move her car with no warrant, and immediately resorting to a show of force, because that's all these people know. And we've all been caught in the fallout. It is appalling. It is disgusting. And it is even more appalling to see Kristi Noem respond the way she did immediately afterward.
It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased. We're continuing to gather more information, but this goes to show the assaults that our ICE officers and our law enforcement are under every single day. These vehicle rammings are domestic acts of terrorism. We're working with the Department of Justice to prosecute them as such. We will continue to protect our ICE officers and in cooperation with other law enforcement agencies as well. You've seen me in the last couple of days deploy over 2,000 more officers to the Minneapolis area. And in the last 2 days, we've arrested hundreds and hundreds of dangerous criminals.
A woman sitting in her SUV in Minneapolis, Minnesota on an ordinary Wednesday is not a domestic terrorist. She is a woman who, at most, is rightfully disgusted to see Donald Trump's thugs terrorizing her neighborhood. We have a constitutional right to peaceful protest in this country. In case anyone forgot while filling their face with Botox, Kristi Noem. You, Kristi Noem, are wrong. Calling her a domestic terrorist is not just absurd, it's criminal. How can you make that judgment? Blocking ICE, blocking the private militia that Trump uses to intimidate and assault women and people of color is not domestic terrorism. Kristi Noem should be held accountable. All of these people should be held accountable. Any Democrat unwilling to say that is failing to meet this moment. This isn't about party politics. It's about a human life that was stolen and the urgent demand for justice. If we don't demand accountability now, this violence will continue. Because this is exactly what Kristi Noem endorsed in her press conference.
Kids without fear. Yes.
Business owners across the Rio Grande Valley told me they're concerned about some of the sweeping ICE raids on work sites, particularly in construction, where sometimes workers with legal status are being kind of swept up in the process, delaying projects and hurting our economy. What is your message to these businesses?
Well, that's simply not happening. So it's just not true. We are focused on going after the worst of the worst in every community across this country to make sure that we're making our streets safer. And anyone who is a citizen of this country or is here legally has nothing to fear, has nothing to get out of bed in the morning to be scared of, because we are only enforcing the law. If you are in violation, if you have perverted one of our programs in order to be here illegally, absolutely, you may be held accountable for that action. But that individual and those businesses don't have anything to fear if they're following the law.
A woman in Minneapolis was shot simply for existing in her car. This isn't about citizen versus non-citizen or legal status. It's about broken people in power who thrive on inflicting pain. ICE agents and others acting without accountability are criminals, and they must be prosecuted. Kristi Noem enabling this is part of the problem. I hate these people. Their actions are racist, bigoted, and serve the wealthy elite, while innocent lives are destroyed. Rising above them doesn't mean ignoring them. It means demanding accountability for every single one. We cannot be silent. We must fight, expose them, and make sure justice is served. Thanks for watching this video, and if you stuck around at the end, you can drop the blue heart in the comments, and until next time, I will see you soon.